Who is Dr. Robyn Thompson, the founder of the Thompson Method, birth and breastfeeding expert? Who is this special lady? In this video, I am going to ask Dr. Robyn questions so that you can get to know her a little bit more. Stay till the end, let us know if there's anything else you'd like to know, and like and share this video. Here I am with the very special lady herself. Who is Dr. Robyn Thompson? Who is this super duper awesome lady? Robyn, you said, I don't know. You like to have a crack, don't you?
Some Sheila who was born in Sydney and lived in Melbourne most of her life and spending some time in Brisbane at the moment.
So true. So you're not only a highly experienced midwife, but you also have the privilege and the unique perspective of working in both the hospital system and doing private home births as well.
Yes, and that was all by pure chance. I did not plan to do. Actually, when I speak, I have never planned my life. It's unfolded. Mm-hmm. I've never had a set plan, except that I did work 18 years in my private practice with beautiful women who gave birth at home without a holiday. And yes, and then my daughter took me backpacking around the world when I turned 40, and that was when I knew I needed to take a holiday every now and then.
Yes, you are always a very busy lady, that's for sure. So can you please share with us your experiences of working in, say, the hospital system compared to the home birth system? Okay. You know, what inspired you to move?
Well, I was when I left high school, I was working in a typing pool at the Williamstown dockyard in Melbourne, where they built all the big ships in those days, you know. So then I saw an advert in the paper. Actually, before that, I was promoted to the junior secretary to the captain of the dockyard. And then I saw an advert in the paper for nurses. So I decided I'd just go and respond, and I received a note to come for an interview. So I went for an interview, and before I could blink an eyelid, I was a nurse. So in 1961, I started nursing with a bunch of amazing colleagues. We are still all friends today, and we are still all alive, and we just had the most amazing career. So
that's wonderful. They say, don't they, never pass up an opportunity. That's a pretty good example as to why.
Yeah. And then I decided that I would have a couple of babies after I'd finished my nursing and done some time, because you're expected to do some, you know, graduation time. And then, so Mark and Joanne were born. I also had a stillbirth, little baby stillborn, baby Melanie. And I won't tell you all the story, but, you know, that was a few years later. And then I stayed at home at home, but I did some casual work when my obstetrician colleagues or gynae colleagues would call me to help, or I did a couple of shifts, maybe at a hospital, but I also did a little bit every now and then at the local medical clinic. So I didn't work full time, and I didn't work a set time. I just worked when it was needed. And my beautiful mother-in-law, Alice, used to help me with the young ones, but they were a little bit older now, so I had a good time with them, and saw them off to school, and, you know, all of that sort of thing.
Best of both worlds.
Then I got to the point where, I think I need to be doing something. What can I do? And I thought about it, so I applied to do midwifery. I thought about going back to nursing, and because the hospital was not too far from where I lived, it was easy for me to do. And then I thought, no, I need to do something more. So I applied to do midwifery, and bingo, there I was a midwife.
There you go. It was just so meant to be. So you obviously remember, you have quite a lot of experiences from working and your time within the hospital system. How long was you in this hospital?
The hospital system, I'm thinking about from about 74 to about, when did I move to? Probably 15 years, something like that. But anyway, I was just to cut the long story short, beautiful team of people. I had worked for an obstetrician in his rooms, and they were best friends. We were good mates, and there was some amazing obstetricians around at that time too, where there was no conflict of interest, there was no high intervention as far as, So then I was busy in the labour ward working one day. We used to call it the labour ward then, and up the corridor comes the director of nursing, and she's looking at me, and I thought, oh hell, what have I done now? She came up to me and she said, very, very, very abruptly, not abruptly, Robyn, yes, Miss Rodder.
You remember her name?
I've got news for you. Oh, what is it? Anyway, she said, Marg's going to be going away from here. She's in charge of the labour ward, as you know. She's going away for a while to do maternal and child health, and you're going to be in charge of the labour ward.
Wow.
3 months through as a midwife, from a student midwife to a midwife to in charge of the labour ward in 3 months. Oh, no, I can't do that. She said, oh, yes, you can. And I said, no, I can't. What about all the experienced people that are here? Had much more experience than me. No, you're in.
And so it begins. And that is basically where the journey began, I suppose.
It did. Wow. And I had the best time. That was about 1970. 74, 75. Gee, the old brain's fading. And
I think we've all seen an image, we could probably share it here, of you with your midwifery students and your colleagues as well. And you do look rather beautiful. You all do look very beautiful in your lovely midwifery outfits.
I think they're with my nursing colleagues way back in 61. Well, yes, so the midwifery group was another group, separate again.
My apologies.
Yes, that's all right. That's fine. And then I did the job, and she told me I did the job so well that she's now created a position for me. So when Marg came back, she had me as deputy in charge of the labour ward. So I had a deputy position. And then within so many months, Marg had accepted another job at another hospital, not too far away. And so there I was. I was there in charge for the rest of the time, and my word, did I learn a lot.
Yeah, well, you were setting standards from the very, very beginning by the sounds of it. And it's really interesting because I remember you telling me this story before, but for the sake of our lovely viewers, I'd like you to share again that moment where you were approached to make this big move from you running the labour ward in the hospital to creating your own private home birth practice. Tell me again.
Yes, and even while I was in the hospital, they sent me off to do a Bachelor of Applied Science. So I did that part-time, and they gave me that opportunity too, something that I would never, ever have dreamt of in that time. And then I was, while I was on field experience from the uni, I went to a private hospital just to see how they run it and learn a little about that, and then go back and write about it, right? So then I was offered while I was there the role of a consultant to set up a brand new midwifery unit. So they were actually demolishing a house next door and rebuilding that area with a whole midwifery unit. And so I was connected with the architect and started offering advice to the architect, and then to the health department, and then, so it went on and on. We were the first ones to have a spa bath and a birthing unit and a labour ward that was not like the average labour ward, not interventionist, but everything that wasn't needed was outside. And
wow, that's really amazing that you were a part of that. I gave birth in a birthing unit in a pool, like you described, and it was wonderful. That's truly amazing.
And I was able to select staff, so I did a little bit of bidding with wonderful friends that I'd known, and they came and carried on from there, and I stayed on. And then they offered me a job back at the Mercy Hospital in Melbourne to set up a birth centre there, so I followed on with that. And so one thing just happened after the other. While I was there, I was invited to a home birth, and I was a bit blown away. A midwife colleague and a GP friend of mine who were just beautiful. And then before I knew it, I was invited by the GP to come to their practice and join in with their prenatal care and, you know, meet some women. Now, and they were thinking that the birth centre that I'd set up at the private hospital would be a beautiful backup place for women to come to if they needed it. Anyway, cut the long story short, I did all of that because it was offered and it was just the flow, and beautiful people too to be around. And we're still friends to today, absolutely. My midwife friend has passed, but my other friends are all there. And so it just one step after the other, I was there doing an antenatal visit with another midwife, and the woman was visiting there, and the GP drops in when, you know, it's appropriate. And this woman invited me to her birth at home.
Wow.
And so she lived in the next suburb to me, right close to me, so close it was unbelievable. I didn't even know women were having their babies at home then. So I went off to this beautiful home birth. It was her third baby, turned out to be her third baby boy. And she had her mum there with the other two little boys while she was labouring. The GP came. The midwife was so calm and beautiful. I was very nervous because I'd not been really outside the system.
I can't imagine you being nervous, Robyn.
Kneeling on the bed with the sucker ready to turn it on. You don't use suckers now, you know, not unless they're absolutely necessary. But anyway, I could see my GP friend just noting, watching me, not perturbed at all. This beautiful baby was born, and then I was anxious that he was never going to breathe, you know, and he did. He breathed in good time, beautifully. But the minute he took his first breath, 2 dogs outside the bedroom window started to howl. It was unbelievable, and that spooked me. And then all the dogs in the neighbourhood were howling, and then the 2 cats on the front doormat were howling.
Welcome to the world.
Oh, and I still go goosey to this day when I tell that. It was just amazing. Anyway, is that my beautiful grandson? Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's Joshy.
Hi, Josh. You're on candid camera.
He's my number one grandson. The other one's in Melbourne at the moment. So
fighting for position.
And I was his midwife for his mummy too. So
yes, and that's also a very wonderful story, isn't it?
All the way in Japan. Yeah, that's another story. I can't tell them all. And so I had such something happened to me in that time while I was at that beautiful birth with that beautiful mother, and I was so blown away. So I was invited to another one in a suburb nearby, and then then it just flowed on from there. And then I actually did set up in my own practice, and for 25 years I was birthing at home with women. So he's disappeared, he's gone.
He's probably heard all this before, hasn't he?
Yeah, he probably has. Yeah. Oh, he definitely has. Yeah.
Of course he has. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you've just joined, we are chatting with Dr. Robyn Thompson to get to know her a little bit more. Stay tuned to hear about her journey as she studied for her PhD, and stay till the end to hear one awesome fact about the very special lady. You once told me that the Thompson method was a wonderful accident, so to speak. Tell us more. How did this really awesome movement begin?
Well, only because of my professors, my guru professors. That's really the reason, not because of me. I was busy with my practice, and it became also breastfeeding, not just birthing. And I learned so much, so privileged to learn so much from so many wonderful women, that I was very thankful for what I learned in the hospital, but nothing like I learned by being with and beside women at home. That was just totally different. And, one of the major things I learned was to be able to work with a woman and know where she was in her labour without doing vaginal examinations. So, only in the rarest occasions did we need to intervene with her body. She was magic. So I learned all of that by the women teaching me, giving me the confidence, I think, too. They gave me the confidence in their energy and their power and their strength and everything about them. They're amazing. And then all the animals at birth, they were amazing too. Like, people get a bit horrified, but I need to write about the animals are so in touch. So then, and the little toddlers as well, all in touch, all participating.
So you noticed a huge difference in not only the attitudes of the women, but the energy in the room as well compared to hospital births.
Absolutely. Absolutely different. A lot of water births. My first water birth, I was a bit terrified, but there was my friend obstetrician, Bruce, was around not far away. If I needed him, he never interfered unless he was called upon. And it was just the most beautiful. And there were 3 generations there at that stage. So it was a lovely time, really beautiful. So that helped me come through that part of what birthing was at the time as well. So I've had a magic journey, but what was the next part you asked me?
So, it's you're on track. Is about the Thompson Method as a movement as a whole and
yeah,
how it began. Right. So obviously you were witnessing that very precious first breastfeed, and I'm guessing there was a huge difference in that experience compared to hospital births as well.
And because the outcomes were good, I was having women referred to me then for help from colleagues. It wasn't not like it is now, but it was then. And then I wanted to know why so many women were coming out of the hospital with complications. So I started recording data that I, in my head, I was not a statistician by any means. I was not an analyst by any means, but I just needed to have some evidence of what was happening. So I started that. And over a period of time, I could see that things were happening. And then I spoke at a conference in Darwin, and these 3 guru professors were at that conference. Now, I knew the elder of the 3. The other 2 I knew from conferences, but I didn't know them personally well. But anyway, I was approached by them and coerced over a year to consider doing consider doing something more with my work. And so I did. Finally, I started a master's at Charles Darwin University in the Northern Territory. And thanks to my professors, I was called to another meeting where I was terrified to tell me that they were converting my master's to a PhD.
And this is all very important information within the story, the journey that the Thompson Method has been on. Because first of all, you didn't decide on the name. The name was given to you. It was recommended. What a lovely name it is. It suits it perfectly. But the reason that story you're telling is so important is because it's evidence-based research. It's based upon real women, real experiences from years of your own experiences working alongside women, like you said.
Well, yes, but also the 6 years that I did with the Darebin Maternal and Child Health Services, where the recording was done, we analysed the last 4 years, because the first 2 years I actually added to the database. So to keep it consistent and, make it the same, from the experts that analyse the last 4 years. And so, the usual academic things were done and the analytical things were done, cleaning the data and all that, but not by me, by the experts, right? So I was learning the whole time. I never stopped learning the whole time. And so that data became, and the outcomes were really good at Darebin. So that was another factor that was, I think if you look at I have to go back and look at it myself to in my brain, but out of the 653 women, the 85% had complications, the most common being nipple trauma, and 78% were, I think it was about 78%. I'm happy to be corrected if it's slightly out, but it was something.
Yeah, I'm sure we can share your wonderful statistics on the screen.
That was a women saying that they either had no pain or they were pain reduced in one breastfeed with me, no touching. You don't touch a woman's breast, you don't push her baby to the breast, you don't do any of that. You just talk with her gently and quietly, and that was what was happening. So that became an analytical thing for Darebin as well, because they were interested in what was happening in their area. The maternal and child health nurses were wonderful, and it was really beautiful days and beautiful times.
So when you started your PhD, did you ever imagine that you'd be here? I mean, not here speaking with me, but here as in starting this wonderful movement that's literally helped thousands of women.
absolutely no idea whatsoever. None. And I still don't know what I'm doing tomorrow almost, you know.
Hopefully you have a day off tomorrow.
Yeah, I do know that in January last year, I did receive a letter from the Charles Darwin University telling me that they had appointed me as adjunct associate professor of the nursing and midwifery of the Molly Wadadurga. Oh, what a privilege to be Wadadurga centre there. And so, you know,
yeah, that's a wonderful wonderful research I did last year when working with you on that topic, and we always like to congratulate you for your achievements. This one was huge. We will pop the article about that down below as well. We'll share the link to the description for that, okay. And so that viewers can have a read about that wonderful role that you have there. It's very exciting.
Yeah, so I suppose I'm gifted with the ability just to go with the flow, not to I mean, there are times when I get a bit uptight, and there are times when, but nothing ever works 100%. But the most important thing for me to remember all the time is that every mother and every baby is unique in every way. They're unique anatomically, they're unique biophysiologically, they're unique neurologically, that every part of their life and themselves is unique. So that's the blessing I have, to be able to look at each woman as her unique self and work beside and with her, even if it's via a screen, which I do mostly now, is to listen to her, watch her facial expression, hear the words she's saying. And just for example, if I do a Q&A, almost every time the last sentence is the answer. She already has it. So
yes, you definitely helped me in my unique journey to follow my natural maternal instincts, and it was a big game changer, alongside your wonderful resources, all the education that you installed in me, and having the support of a wonderful team. Those are the things that helped me to trust in myself and have confidence in my own ability.
And then in flies my daughter.
Exactly.
Who's now my boss.
My big boss lady. Boss. Yeah, so you and Joanne, you share the same goal. What is your main goal? What do you want to achieve from this?
I just want to leave Mother Earth knowing that we have helped women around the world with breastfeeding, as many as we possibly can, with the best outcomes that we possibly can, and that we have increased the breastfeeding rates around the world, because that's for the health of the nation. It's health of the individual, health of the family, and health of the nation. Yeah.
So beautifully put. So to end our lovely chat, I want to have a bit of a fun question. I would like to ask you, no wine today, I'm afraid. I would like to ask you to share with us one awesome fact about yourself, something not related to work.
Something not related to work. I know you talk about me going to the gym with my PT.
I do. I'm very, very impressed with your...
I have been doing that for a long, long time. But I think I think the fact that Joanne gave me the opportunity to do things I've never done in my life. So I travelled the world with her when I was 40, right? And I'd never been out of the country before. Well, from there on, I did not stop. And then I travelled the world I travelled the US with Marie, and drove a 35-foot road home, a trailer on the back, and we had our 2 Melbourne boy guitarists with us.
So you were backpacking with a musical band around the world. I mean, that is a pretty awesome fact.
I was road homing. With Joanne, I was backpacking around the world and stopping at the most amazing places. The Aft Chapman in Sweden on the river there. Oh my goodness, what an amazing time we had. That was an old boat, one of the old boats. travelled on the electric train all the way up to Umeo and met up with the family who Katie had stayed with us for a year to do schooling in Australia. Met her family and went sledding. Never been sledding in my life.
Of course not. Definitely not. The temperatures don't dip as low. Do they?
Oh, many things. And of course, I've been to Japan 5 times. And now I haven't stopped. I went to speak at Huddersfield University at a conference there. So I went back to, again, with my friend Robyn, who we were the 2 naughty little girls from the beginning.
The naughty Robs.
From primary school, yeah. And she came with me, and we then travelled across the canal and went right across Europe together. So, I think they're probably the features of what I remember. I do go to the gym a couple of times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. However, that to me is just not the most important thing. I think the fact that I've been so privileged to do all the things I have I'm
sure there are way more than 2 awesome facts about you. And I'm glad that you were able to share those. You're a very interesting, very empowering lady, and I'm sure that it's nice to have a bit of insight into your personal.
Well, the most important thing I think probably is that we love, that we nurture, and we respect each other, and that's what I'm aiming for. That there's that beautiful relationships that we set up, and that we calm and we transition slowly with women. We don't rush them, and it's keeping keeping them in control, not us being in control of them. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, there we go. I think that was a beautiful end, and not many of our viewers get to know you personally, so I think it's nice to let them have that little tidbit. You are famous after all in our community.
I don't think so.
You're too modest. You've changed all of our journey, so take the compliment. There you go. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know Dr. Robyn with me a little bit more in this video. Hit that bell to subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for the next video where Dr. Robyn discusses the best breastfeeding position. My name is Chelsea. Stay informed, be empowered, and stay in control of your birth and breastfeeding journey.